Hi, welcome to Power Level. This is Paul, and today I'm going to briefly talk about Tales of Xillia 2. Tales of Xillia 2 takes place 1 year following the events of the first game. The player takes control of a new character by the name of Ludger, a young man who wishes to follow in the footsteps of his brother. As you play throughout the story, you meet a number of familiar faces from the previous game, being joined almost immediately by Jude Mathis, and eventually recruiting the rest of the major players from the first game. Combat in Xillia 2 is as solid as it was previously, and even includes new features such as the ability to hot swap between Ludger's weapons on the fly, which dramatically changes your approach to the fight at hand. The free reign given to the player during combat feels good, but like most Tales games, I highly recommend removing the AI's ability to use items, and just use them manually yourself. Otherwise you might find yourself lacking when you need them the most. It's also a good idea to adjust your AI strategy as often as needed. The AI is decent, but it's still prone to making very poor decisions, which can make all the difference. Leveling up takes an interesting turn compared to the past Tales games. Characters can equip a special item called an extractor, which you then fill up with elemental ore. When it reaches a certain point, the character learns the skill associated with it depending on how much you've collected. This allows the ability to prioritize what type of skills and elements you choose to equip them with. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Throughout the game, the player is forced to make choices that make minor changes throughout the story. Their purpose is to help develop Ludger's character, and only really matters at the very end of the game. To be more precise, only certain questions near endgame change what type of ending you'll receive. This is then made worse that all the dialogue isn't even spoken during the important times. Ludger throughout the playthrough is essentially mute, speaking things like, yeah, no, what? And his different arts. Would it have killed them to have some dialogue to go along with my choices? There's a voice actor, use him. His cat Rollo has more dialogue and personality than he does in the skits. Speaking of Rollo, the collect spread out across the world items in this game is cats. Yes, cats. Early on you encounter a crazy cat lady who talks in cat puns. She has lost all 100 of her cats, and sends you out to find them. This now adds in the addition of sending out Rollo to areas, and waiting until the world's smartest cat returns with items, and possibly more of the missing cats. Of course, if she'd take the time to even look in the slightest, she might actually find one, like the one that's right behind her. The last thing I want to go over is the story gating system they implement. The method they use to halt story progression and make the player grind is a debt. A crippling debt. A 20 million gold debt. Unless you pay a certain amount, you're not allowed to progress with the story. Traveling access to areas is closed off until you meet this threshold. There are various ways to help pay off the debt, such as taking on jobs during Gold Delay and for whatever you earn from the fights. This still leaves the player short on cash more often than not, and if you ever do come into money, your childhood friend who is in charge of your debt calls you to see if you're going to make a payment. I'm generally low on cash anyways in Tales games, just playing through the story and buying gear. I rarely make 1 million gold, much less 10 or 20 million. I believe having the story progress gated by this is a poor choice. Let me progress through the story at my own pace. I'll grind when I'm dying horribly at the next boss. Overall, Tales of Xillia 2 is just an okay game. The combat is fun, the music is nice, and the skits are enjoyable to watch when Ludger isn't there. But the lackluster character he turns out to be, the overly convoluted plot, and the ever-present shortage of money from a debt I didn't even ask for stop this game from truly being an amazing piece. So sadly, I'm going to have to give Tales of Xillia 2 a 6.8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Please like, favorite, and subscribe.